This is the Daily Freakout for Tuesday, the 19th of May, 2026. Thank you very much for tuning in and making it this far. Based on the statistics, you are in a unique group of people who have made it past the introduction and have made it to the second half of the introduction. The numbers are great because you can see how few people actually pay attention and watch. It's quite interesting and stuff. The problem is, I had a little bit of personal stuff today, or to start the show today. Yesterday, I found a new YouTube account that I really like. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. It was a young girl doing bike videos in urban Melbourne. And I was like, oh, I've ridden paths like that. And I missed the paths. And then she pulled out a trailer with a dog. And I'm just like, oh my God, I love riding bikes with dogs as well. So this is great. I'm going to follow this person. This is going to be great. And then I looked at how long she'd been on YouTube. And I looked at how many followers she had. And I was like, what the hell am I doing wrong? Because I couldn't work it out as to what my content... Like, I know my content's not great. It's not the best thing ever. I'm working on it. I'm still building. I'm still creating and trying to make improvements and trying to get better and all that kind of stuff. But I was just like, how the hell does this person have so many followers and so many people interacting with her? Just like I was. Like, I was enamored by the videos as well. I was like, oh, that's a beautiful dog and those trails are great. I literally had some nostalgia for riding a few urban bike trails. I did some commuting back in the day through Abbotsford area, and it's such a great space. There are some really, really nice rail trails and bike trails and paths and stuff in that area, and the old buildings and the trees, and it's just a great spot. If you ever get a chance to ride through Richmond, Abbotsford, and go past the Abbotsford Convent and the Collingwood Children's Farm, do yourself a favour and do that, because that area is, I haven't been there in 10 years, but I'm sure it's still absolutely beautiful. I should try that sometime, try and get up there and do that. And yeah, the statistics are great, and they're also a little bit depressing at times. So I got all depressed last night, ended up eating ice cream for dinner. I still made it to the shops to get dog food. I don't know about you, but that's a win in my book, because the dogs have got to eat, and I got up and I did something. But the depression really hit hard, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Why? This is stupid. I'm doing my thing, she's doing her thing, we're all doing our own thing. Can't we just do our own thing? Speaking of our own thing, today's news articles, or today's headlines, we've got a bit of talk about solar power. Again, I love solar power and alternative energy. I like the idea of having multiple different forms. We're going to talk about that. We're going to do a little bit of Dr. Dollywell. Jolly Dr. Dollywell. I'll get that name right eventually. We're going to talk about Survivor Greece and Pokemon cards. In fact, let's start off right now with Pokemon cards. How Pokemon cards are fueling crime against hobby shops across Melbourne. According to the ABC, abc.net.au, I hate the way that's such a hard change. Why is that such a hard camera change there? It really shouldn't be, because it's meant to be on mix. But anyway, how Pokemon cards are fueling the crime against hobby shops. In short, according to the ABC, trading card-related crimes in Victoria rose from just 9 burglaries, break-and-enters or theft cases in 2021 to almost 1 a week in 2025, reflecting the skyrocketing value of Pokemon cards. Now look, I remember the trading card craze back in the late 90s. I remember that there was actually a trading card store. I always thought it was cool. I always wanted to go in there and check out the stuff that was in there. I never had enough money to purchase many of these cards, and I never had the motivation as well to also purchase these cards. I thought they were cool, and I'd look at them, but there was never as much as a hoarder type guy that always wants something. Like I'm very much I like the attaining of something, and then once I've got it, I sort of forget about it a bit. I always liked getting stuff. So you'd think trading cards would be one of those. But I literally didn't get into it enough to bother getting that many of the cards, or to really spend any true money on it. And it really confuses me that these cards are so popular. Most of the interactions I have with them online that I see are literally just people opening them. Like it's the thrill of, I've got an unopened pack, I don't know what's in here, I'm going to open it and see what's in here. And it boggles my mind. As much as I am someone who likes collecting and all that kind of stuff, I don't understand the value of these trading cards. Now, I know apparently you can play a game with them. You can actually, I put down a card, you put down a card, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that some of these go for ridiculous prices, for hundreds and thousands of dollars each for these cards, which are effectively just a scarcity, like the company that makes the cards creates the scarcity. That's the only value that they have, is that the company says, oh, we're only going to make 2 of these. And now everyone else is like, oh, well, this is expensive, I need to get some. But as you can see here, damage to shop windows, 50 incidents of such crimes last year, an increase of more than 455% in 4 years. And so, and it says here, a quote from the gentleman, he was pretty much a hand length away from getting a few $1,000s worth of other cards. So thousands of dollars, but then where do you sell them? Is there a, how good is the black market for these things, where you can go, oh, I'm going to go sell these? I'm assuming you can sell them online and get rid of them that way. But it's just so crazy to think that people are doing this kind of thing, because I don't understand the appeal. If you understand the appeal, let me know. Like, tell me in the comments what is going on that causes people to want these cards, because I don't understand. Apart from the art value, I guess it's just art, isn't it? It's just the same as any kind of art, and I guess at least there's some form of, you can see here, there is actually a game. The game debuted in 1996 and involves players using their cards to battle each other. So at least there's some value in that when you're playing the game, if you've got a good card, you can think. So like, if you've got this awesome card just sitting there and everyone keeps doing stuff, and then you pull out the big card, and so that's great. That's all well and good, but it just boggles my mind as to why people would put the effort in to go steal these things. And it begs the question of, is everybody getting so desperate lately and at the moment that we need to steal and rob and cheat and all that kind of stuff? I don't know. I am not across it enough to understand and to know stuff like that. But one of the things I do know is that the equivalent for me would be possibly something like records, in that I have a decent record collection. It's nothing special, but I've got a decent one, and I would hate it if someone came and tried to steal it or steal them. And it's the same kind of thing of, I'm collecting them, and the use of them is that I just sit and listen to them, so they're not really valuable apart from that. A lot of people question artists like Taylor Swift that release different versions, so that then people have to buy more copies if they want to be a completist and buy multiple copies. I just prefer black vinyl, no colours and swirls. I've bought some versions, but they were a good price for the record. So I've got a Casey Musgrave version that's actually when you play it, it has images on it that, what is it, a rotoscope or something? Zoetrope, where you can see images happen and stuff like that. So there's no booklet or anything with this record. I kind of would prefer to just go back to the plain black version, but it was a good price, so I got it. Speaking of records, that was a terrible segue. Jolly Dr. Dollywell. today, or this week's record of the week. Let's have a listen and see what adventures the doctor... Well, it's not an adventure. It's the doctor telling the young patient how to look after her dolly.
It's Jolly Dr. Dollywell, ma'am.
Come in, Doctor. We're so glad you came. Dolly, too.
Let's have a look at Dolly's hand.
I covered the burn just like you said. I used a handkerchief.
You really should have a Dolly first aid kit, ma'am. That handkerchief's not too clean. There, Dolly. Though it's a little burn, I know it hurts a lot. Now I'll clean it with this. There. And this will help the pain. See that the burn is kept covered with a sterile bandage, ma'am. Now let's have a talk about how Dolly got burned. Remember what I said about playing with matches?
Dolly doesn't ever touch matches, Doctor. I don't leave them around where she can find them. I don't let her turn on the gas either.
Then how did it happen?
From my daddy's lighter.
Oh.
I was playing with it, and then it lit, and Dolly was on my lap and touched it. Wasn't that naughty of her?
I wouldn't say that, ma'am. You see, fire is something most dollies.
So, this... It's so... We listen to it, and I mean, we're hearing the 2026 version of it, and it just sounds so simple and stuff. But it probably was, or is, or will be a very good way of teaching kids. Like, yeah, you don't play with matches. Don't play with gas, or else you'll get hurt, because Dolly will get hurt. You might get hurt. But I love the way that the kid blames the dolly. Like, Dolly was naughty. Dolly touched the lighter, because Dad's lighter was just sitting around. I get this. What a record. What a record. I don't know where or how or anything. Distributed by Summit Records. And it's just fantastic. The amount of reverb on the vocals. I don't even have a year on this one. It's just fantastic. It really is. Are there records like this now? Do people make this kind of thing, or is this like the Wiggles? Do the Wiggles albums and stuff like that have this kind of educational material and stuff on them? I don't know. So this is the Discogs page for Dr. Jolly Dr. Dollywell, and Horatio the Horseo, the little horse who wanted to be a dentist. There are two versions of it for sale. $10 and $25 unavailable in Australia. So you could get this for $10 in Australia if you would like to. Because I'm not selling this copy. This is... I strangely like this copy a bit too much, but there is no information here apart from the fact that it's 1975 and it's a children's LP. Is that a single? Oh wow, that's a single version. That's not even got it for sale. You can find it on eBay if you would like. And here's a website. Oh, jeez. The Smithsonian wants me to verify that I am a human, which is fantastic, which is why this is such a good podcast that we do here. And then it's not even here. Archive audio, date 65. That's no information whatsoever. You made me... well, there you go. I don't need Metamucil.
Here's the
Oh,
that
oh,
erases
no. There we go. Brett Funnell on... I got this record and Bird Ives record for my 5th birthday in 64. Scratchy, but still haven't... So, apparently it is a record that some Americans are familiar with, but there is no... I would have thought that there would be at least a Wikipedia or something. Oh, pardon me. Miss Polly had a dolly, which is on the Wikipedia, but there's no Dr. Jollywell. Jolly Doctor Dollywell. God damn, I'll never get that right. So we'll just have to enjoy it ourselves with knowing very, very little about it. Speaking of it, enjoying it for ourselves, an article that I've been sitting on a little bit and haven't been able to get round to actually talking about as soon as I'd like is Survivor Greece suspended after contestant loses part of leg while spearfishing. Dun dun dun. I don't know why it's like that, but if they really wanted to up the ante of this Survivor TV show, they would allow for injuries. If you know what I mean. Make it more dangerous. Make it so they genuinely have to survive. Because all these reality TV shows... There's also... Bear Grylls did one called The Island. Decent show. But it was manufactured, just like all of Bear Grylls' crap. It was manufactured in a way, like they put animals on the island for the contestants to kill and eat. Which seems a bit wrong. I've got nothing with killing animals for food, but... when you're pretending to be on an island and then you pretend to kill it, it just seems a bit wrong. I feel like they should make it serious. Like, make it a serious version of Survivor instead of a play game where we just happen to live in terrible conditions. That being said, Survivor's at like season 50 or something or more at the moment, so maybe it's not the point. Maybe it is the game show part of it, is the point of it and stuff like that. But the entire show has been taken off the air. Survivor Greece is up to season 13 apparently, and the whole show got taken off the air because of this incident. But the thing that annoys me about this was that the incident happened during a break in filming. So, Survivor Greece has temporarily been pulled off the air after a contestant was injured while spearfishing on a break from filming. So, whilst they're filming this show, they've got enough time to take a break, have a bit of a holiday, and go spearfishing? Like, remember the days, like in the early seasons, where they didn't have enough food and they could barely concentrate? And they had to give them more supplemental food? And how it was like, oh, we're just going to sit here and suffer and think. These guys got a break. And so the 21-year-old beekeeper, Stavros Flores, was struck by a passing tourist boat. Apparently his left leg was partially amputated below the knee, i.e. almost cut off. And his right ankle was also significantly damaged. So the guy's not going to be walking around too much too soon. But what annoys me as well, so it was in a break of filming. Okay, why'd the show have to get cancelled and taken off the air? Why couldn't they just come back and go, hey, look, one of the contestants, Stavros, what a classic, of course he was called Stavros. Stavros was doing something whilst we were having a break and he got injured. He's now no longer able to compete, but everyone else is. So we're just going to keep going. You know what I mean? Am I being insensitive when I think that? Poor Stavros. But in all seriousness, at 21 to lose a leg and have your ankle damaged, and not be able to walk now, prosthetics and stuff are amazing these days, and that's great. I'm sure he's going to recover. He's a good-looking fella, but that is a shame. You gotta feel for the guy a little bit like that. But maybe I was about to say don't go spearfishing, but no, maybe tourists need to be a little bit more careful. But if it was a tourist boat, you got to assume that the captain of the boat was knew what he was doing. So who knows? But anyway, if it had happened on camera as part of the show, how much better would the show be? Better? Is that what we want? We want gore. If if it bleeds, it leads. I don't know. It seems insensitive for me to talk like that and to think that way, but at the same time, we're sort of all thinking it, aren't we? Oh. we all watch those videos, or is it just me? Am I just a weirdo that watches the terrible videos and stuff? Let's see what's the doctor doing.
Boy, and Dolly's so little she thought it was real, and she cried, and I just couldn't get her to go to bed.
I'm not surprised, ma'am. Any dolly of any size would get upset by a bedtime like that. That's a very go to bed, I must say. Bedtime is not the time for TV or for horsey play. A nice quiet time is what Dolly needs after she's played all day. Every dolly should know how to go to bed in a restful way.
How do you get a dolly to go?
It is very true and very, very informative. Thank you, Jolly Dr. Dollywell. I too don't watch TV before bed. That's not true at all. I spent 5 hours watching TV last night. It was ridiculous. I went to bed super early because I felt like it. As I said, I was feeling a bit down. Ended up watching a few episodes of Clarkson's Farm and then a few episodes of Welcome to Wrexham. And all because my iPad goes on the side of the bed and I can watch TV from bed, and it's fantastic. I really, really enjoy it. My iPad is charged via solar, and it turns out a solar plant in Minnesota planted flowers beneath its panels, and soon monarch butterflies and dozens of new plant species began to appear. It's fantastic to see this kind of thing happening, and for the knowledge to be developing, where, and I'll show you this image. Let me get rid of that. Now I think those butterflies on top of the I think this is a composite image. This doesn't look like an actual image and stuff like that. But people talk about how like solar panels ruin environments and all this kind of stuff. But this is possible. This is genuinely possible, where we can. I think it's very possible to have beneath the solar panels things still happening. Animals can graze in and around the solar panels. The solar panels create shade for them, so they sit in the shade and enjoy just sitting in the shade whilst eating the grasses and stuff around underneath. If you've got goats or sheep or anything like that, they're just going to roam around underneath with relatively no problems. It's silly to suggest that there are no problems and stuff like that. But this article, which is incredibly badly written, so I'm not even going to try and quote from it. Warren Vandersant did a terrible job of writing this article. The Pulse, powered by EcoPortal. So I believe this is definitely a biased website. There's no doubt about that. But just the concept that this kind of thing can happen, where you can create environments underneath and incorporate it into the solar panels. Just because you've got a solar panel, just because you've got a wind turbine, anything like that, doesn't mean that there can't be some form of nature involved in and around that infrastructure. Whereas if you look at coal production or nuclear power plants or oil and all that kind of stuff, there isn't really any kind of biodiversity in that situation. It is very much the destruction of the environment in order to create that energy. And I've said before, and I'll say again, there's no reason why we can't have both going on at the same time or at similar times. So I'm not against nuclear and all that kind of stuff, but when we've got opportunities, like if we've got like in Australia where we've got a desert, why not have the desert? Why not have the solar panels there? And then you're creating a little bit of shade under the panel, which maybe some plants and things will grow, maybe some animals will hang out under there. I don't know. It could. There's a project in Jordan, I think it is, called Regreening the Desert. And No, I can't find it very quickly enough. And they're rejuvenating deserts and turning deserts into green spaces along with the desert area. So why not have some solar panels and some wind turbines there to use the natural resources and also help create alternative little microclimates and little climate spaces and stuff like that. Again, let's use a bit of everything, a little bit of both. Funnily enough, but similarly, IRENA report says 24/7 solar and wind power now cheaper than fossil fuel. This is absolutely another situation where the website is biased. Solarquarter.com is from the website. So quite obviously it's a biased website. We're not going to pretend that it's not. But the idea that these solar panels, let's have a look at that image. How good's that? Bunch of solar panels, a few wind turbines in amongst the solar panels. This is another thing. That's one thing I don't understand. You see wind turbines and solar panels in these big spaces with nothing underneath them. Why not incorporate them together? Why not put the wind turbines with the solar panels? Makes sense to me. But a new report from the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, has highlighted a major turning point in the global energy sector. According to the report, 24/7 renewable energy sources such as solar and wind power, when combined with battery storage systems, are now capable of delivering reliable electricity around the clock at costs lower than fossil fuels. The findings challenge the long-standing belief that renewable energy is too unreliable to support modern economies without backup from coal or natural gas plants. I say it again. That's not what I meant to do. Sorry. I meant to do that. I still stand by the idea of why can't we have both? Why can't we have solar and wind pumping up batteries and getting batteries good, whilst also still having the coal and the gas and the nuclear as it stands at the moment? My argument would be don't build any new destructive power structures and sources. No new nuclear, no new coal. But why can't we just transition and have both? Why can't we have them all? And again, if you're not understanding the concept of batteries and you think that, when the sun at night time there's no energy from solar, then you're not understanding the concept of the battery in your phone, because you charge your battery in your phone and then you use your phone without it being plugged into the wall all day. And that technology is just getting better and better. Everything's got a battery these days. Everything charges with a battery and then you use the power afterwards. So it makes sense to me to go solar. I don't understand why not. As I've said a few times, my setup here is, there's a couple of things that I couldn't do without mains electricity, but most of what I've got here I can charge up via solar panels and work it all from solar. That was always the goal, and I'm hoping maybe next week that I might actually do an episode from the bush, from the wild. So if you're excited by that, then stay tuned. But as I said, I know the statistics, I know the numbers, and nobody is watching this show this late into the show. So if you're watching right now, you're amazing. You know what? If you're watching right now, email me, bobbyfreakout@gmail.com. Send me Jolly Dr. Dollywell in the subject line, and I'll send you this record. I will. Only for you if you're watching now. And you've got to be the first to do it because, yeah. But if you've watched to 29 minutes of this episode of the Daily Freakout, then you deserve a surprise. And at the end of the week, I will send you this record if you are the only person who has done this. If you've listened to it on audio as well, that's valid too, because we are on iTunes. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. We've made it all the way to 30 minutes, and I'm amazed. I will see you tomorrow, I hope. I definitely will do it tomorrow. Fridays is the day that I seem to struggle the most, but Wednesday will not be a problem. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Bobby Freakout. This is the Daily Freakout, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.